can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, guess any.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Coast to Coast. I am your host, Pags. We got Bo next to me here, back from Hawaii, and Jay will be back. He'll be around, I guess, at some point today. What's up, Bo?
How's it going, my man?
Living a dream. A little crispy from last night. I went out to and did my town in Miami, and I'm a little feeling it this morning.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yay for getting older, right?
Exactly. It's this whole thing of age is a little overrated a little bit sometimes.
It is super dumb. I'm not a fan. Yeah. One star.
Exactly. Especially since it's always winning. You know what I mean? The Father Time never loses. He's undefeated.
That's right.
So I go and of course, as I preparing for the show today, I took a look at the top stories, and I tell you, it's a really goofy day when your the top story of everything that I see is that Mike Tyson is going to get back in the ring, and he's going to fight Jake Paul.
Oh man, the thing that's funny about that is I feel like Tyson, if he was allowed to just like really get after the guy, probably still beats him up. But because it's Jake Paul and it's always that exhibition, not a real fight, he's not allowed to lose type of thing.
Yeah, I don't know that that's really the case. I can't imagine. As I think about this, how do you tell Mike Tyson he's got to throw?
Well, I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think he's going to throw it. I think it's going to be one of those, kind of like with Mayweather. You're not allowed to clean him up, right? Because Mayweather could have dropped him. He had opportunities. So, I mean, it's one of those. I don't know. I just want to see him fight a real boxer in his prime. Let's see that. Yeah, exactly. It's an exhibition fight, which means Tyson's not going to be allowed to just unload on his face.
Actually, you watch Jake Paul unload on some of these guys. So, sure. I actually kind of like this because, Jake Paul, not for nothing, has put in the work. You know what I mean? I don't like anything he's doing, but he has put in the work as a boxer. And especially on, the Northeast Streaming Sports, I happen to know more about boxing than I really care to know because of, some of the people that are on the channel.
Sure.
So, and I just can't imagine that the first time he gets back in the ring, they were going to do the Legends boxing. And Mike Tyson was going to go up against, was it Roy Jones Jr. or something like that? And Roy Jones Jr. pulled out and said, I don't think I'm interested in fighting Mike Tyson because I think he's looking at this as a real thing. And I got to imagine that he's not going to he's going to look at this as a real thing, that he's going to fight Jake Paul because he's back in the ring.
Now, I think you're right. I think Tyson's mentality won't let him treat it as an exhibition, but I'm sure it's set up to be one. But the biggest thing is I'm not discounting the fact that he's put in the work, Jake Paul, right? He's in shape. He looks like he absolutely could box. The thing is I want to see him actually box a boxer in his prime, right?
Right.
I'm tired of seeing him go up against a retired MMA guy or, something like that. Go fight a boxer. Like if you keep trying to say, hey, I'm this boxer, I'm the guy, well, then go fight the guy, right? Like let's see some real fights here. So now, I honestly, like, obviously, at the end of the day, this is all for, media purposes for Jake Paul. I mean, that's what him and his brother kind of do. But at the same time, like, if I'm gonna watch boxing, like, I want to see some boxing. Like, I don't know, I'm just
Yeah,
funny that way. Especially
and
if I'm
I
gonna pay
think
for it.
yeah, well, that's exactly
Go
it.
see
I
your
mean,
sport.
they're having this fight at AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a big deal. I mean, that stadium can hold 100,000 people. I wonder
Sure.
if it's going to bring 100,000 people there.
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, you got WWE that packs a stadium out too.
Well, WWE different case scenario there. You know what I mean?
For
There's
sure.
a number of fights. It's not just one. You know what I mean? Like the
Right.
undercard on that is going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to put that out there. And yes, that is the only reason why they'd be doing it.
Oh, of
Because I got
course.
to imagine he's going to make somewhere. Mike Tyson's probably going to make somewhere in the neighborhood of about $20 million. It's going to be his first time back in the ring. Why would I do it for anything less?
Yeah.
I mean, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't get back in the ring to do it for anything less. Now, in the process of that, Jake Paul is probably going to be making somewhere close to, if he sells out that stadium, it
Oh, he's
doesn't
gonna
matter
make
what
80 mil.
undercard it is. Yeah, it's going to be every bit of about $100 million. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Especially with the pay-per-view and everything else. So
Exactly.
it's all about dollars and cents. Let's not
Yeah.
be funny about that. But I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
ultimately,
it's the only reason they're doing this. And don't get me wrong. Am I going to do pay-per-view to watch it? No. Am I going to watch it on YouTube afterwards? Absolutely.
or
Just
go
morbid
to a
curiosity.
Buffalo Wild Wings, and
That's true.
hopefully they'll have it on there. They pay for it, and then you just get some wings. And since they're going to become a sponsor of us here any day now, yeah,
That's right. Any day. Any day.
we're just waiting on that. We're just waiting on the offer to come out since
That's right.
we use
We just
them
keep
as a.
leaning on them, peer pressure and all. Let's do
Hey,
this.
listen, I thought it was coming yesterday. I thought, like, after the governor, that we were going to they're going to be like, yes, we want to sign these guys. These guys are all right. So,
Yep.
but so yeah, but I can imagine that would be a fun watch party. In fact, we should propose that to Buffalo Wild Wings. We want to have a watch party,
Yeah.
and report on this boxing match. So we'll go live during the boxing match. The problem is that they probably ain't gonna box until about 1 o'clock in the morning, which is
Sadly true. Uh, yeah. I mean, I guess I got a slight advantage here on the West Coast, but it's still going to be late.
yeah. Well, it'll be late for me. It won't be so late for you. Like I said, the Buffalo Wild Wings, I got to make sure it's still open. It's the problem on my side.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. Because if it's 1 o'clock there, it's going to be 10 p.m. here. So,
But yeah, get the governor to call them. Hey, listen, I have my people talking to their people. We're going to work that out pretty soon, sooner than later. Buffalo Wild Wings is going to be on board with everything that's going on. So, other things that happened in the news, the second story. This is a story that cracks me up right off the top of my head. Uh, the Brooklyn Nets, Simmons is out for the season.
shocker.
It's like his back injury, the same back that's had a problem all this time. You know, I just look at just retire. Just
Yep.
retire. You made your money. I mean, he's going to try to steal another contract. He's absolutely going to try to do that. So
Yeah.
he's literally
Why
not
wouldn't you?
played.
Why wouldn't you try and steal one more?
Hey, if you're going to get people to pay, I keep waiting for the NBA to actually start to impose the Ben Simmons rule. Like that's coming. That is absolutely coming. Because he's taking advantage of all the teams that he's playing for,
I mean,
literally stealing money.
at the end of the day, they're still signing him though. So I don't feel bad for the team.
Well, he's still under the same contract that he was with the Sixers.
Sure,
So
but
he's
but you're
still.
like, even in a trade, you're taking him, so that's still on you. I mean, I like as a player, go get your cash while you can, and if teams keep signing you, hey, that's on them.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I just can't imagine anybody's going to re-sign him. Just can't see it.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know why
guess
you
it's
would.
possible, but that's exactly it. Why would you? Why would you even bother? But
Yep.
it's possible. You know what I mean? We can see what's happening, but
No,
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
I
It's
could
just that.
see, I could see one of them doing it, but it's going to be a bad team. But at the end of the day,
Oh, he's on the Nets. It doesn't get any much worse than that.
I don't know. He could be a wizard.
True, true. He's got one season left on a 5-year contract that was for $177.2 million.
Oof,
So
man.
talk about stealing money, just straight out robbing teams.
Oh
Because
yeah.
he's done that and he's played 57 games for the Nets.
Oof.
57.
Wow.
That's not a lot of
What's that like
games.
a? It's roughly a $1 million a game.
Really about $2 million a game,
Yeah.
or three if you're counting the whole contract. But
Well, I was
I
going to say he
think that
wasn't
he
there for
did
the whole
play.
contract, though, right?
Right. I think he was with the Sixers for a season, and then got traded. Because he was in for one season of that.
Okay.
No, I guess he's got one more year, so he probably was with 2 seasons. Probably played a full season with the Sixers. That second season is when he passed the ball right underneath the basket and didn't shoot it in the playoffs. So that was an absolute. That was because they spoke about it. That was why he you know left the team. He was like, "Oh, you guys are mean to me." So. Everybody's still welcoming you back here, Bo. So glad to see you. So, how was the wedding, by the way? Might as well talk a little bit about that.
Oh, it was great. It was great. So it was on this. It was a little corner of the beach. It yeah, like it was a beautiful little wedding, and then they did the trash the dress and ran into the ocean, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was really pretty chill environment, right? Because I think there was 20 of us roughly, 20, 25, something like that, and
Oh,
yeah, so no, it was great. It was just this little secluded spot of the beach, real quiet. Did it in the morning, so there wasn't a bunch of people around. A couple of the wedding pictures was kind of funny though, because you had some snorkelers in the background. But but yeah, no, I
well,
mean it was
Google can take that out now. They have that thing that'll just removes people from the pictures. So
for sure.
it's
I don't know. It kind of adds an element to it, right? Like,
hey, yeah, you have just some partiers. They just wanted to hang out at the wedding.
absolutely, absolutely. So no, it was a blast. Obviously, it was a fun trip because anytime you go to Hawaii is a good time typically. But yeah, the ceremony was great, and then we have their local reception here next weekend. So
Got you for everybody else that didn't make it to Hawaii.
exactly, exactly.
So yeah, I have never been to Hawaii, so it's like that's one of the spots that will be on my list. My kind of like my bucket list. But I feel like that if I'm going to go do that tour, I'm going
Mhm.
to go there, and then I'm going to go to Australia and Japan, and for
Oh, I
some
got you.
reason I've got the hankering to go to Hong Kong. You know what I mean?
I think that'd be fun.
I I just want to see how it's like one of the biggest cities in the world in terms of people, and the amount of space that it really has is just like I want to see how they all fit.
Mhm.
But yeah,
No,
like so I figured that would be one trip.
I would imagine that it's like New York in that way, right? Where there's just a lot of people. Like I would have to imagine it's similar. Um, that's kind of like Mexico City, right? Mexico City has got an insane amount of people. Like that city is
True.
massive.
Yes, and sinking. It's funny how they're always talking about how it's like literally sinking into the earth.
Well, it's a good thing it's way inland then.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But All right. Well, that's good. Like I said, we didn't really get to talk about it yesterday because the governor is, and then we actually tried to talk sports for the most part, until the very end when we were like, yeah, there's not much going on, and then we had like a whole bunch of trades happening
Yeah, right.
in the
Closing
NHL.
minutes.
Yeah. So, and there has been now that they're saying like all the stuff that's coming on. Obviously, the Flyers trade happened yesterday. That's like with the conditional first round pick in the process of that. I think it's really going to be a second round pick because I just don't see. I know that Colorado's got a good team, but I just don't see them going to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And I don't care who they have, who they pick up. You know what I mean? I just don't see them beating Vegas. And Vegas is really going to be the team to beat this year. I get to find out tonight.
The Knights are in a wild card spot at the moment, though. I mean, they haven't played as well down the stretch.
They're just in. I didn't even see that. Let me see. Are they in the wild card spot, or they got the? Yeah, they're in the top wild card spot. So
yeah.
But you know what? Hockey is the one spot where it doesn't matter. You just make it in, and you're in.
Right? Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, basketball, I feel like, is that way too, right? You got to get in the dance, right? Top seed, bottom seed, depending on the year, doesn't necessarily matter.
Much different. Top seeds in basketball typically are the winners. You know what I mean? You very rarely see somebody who's a 6 or a 7 seed make it past into the finals. It's usually the 1 or the 2 seeds that make it.
Yeah, it's those, or it'll be like a mid, like a 4 or 5 will get in there because they didn't take the regular season quite as seriously as some of the other teams. Because you do see some of those 1 seeds that were regular season champs that are a second round exit in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, hey, the Sixers have been that a couple of times. That's just exactly what happens every time that you have Doc Rivers as your coach. So,
well, I mean, that's a different obstacle to overcome.
The Heat did it from a play-in. I understand that, but it really, again, they did it because of injuries, and I kind of feel like that's the Sixers are going to do this year. But you don't typically have those situations occur. What typically happens in hockey, though, is that it is more frequent that an 8 seed or a 7 seed can go to the Stanley Cup than it is in basketball. Just typical. Like I said, the Heat was a little bit of a different story because, like I said, they were injured most of the season last year. And of course, they knocked the Sixers out in the second round, which was that's a tough one to go ahead and beat, but they did it.
Also, all things being equal, there's always the exception to the rule, right? So I mean, like there's gonna be the random time that someone sneaks in and can go in and get it done, but that's by and large not what usually goes down.
Exactly. So I think that it's can the Sixers do it? Like, I think the Sixers are going to lose enough that they're going to wind up being like a 7, 8, 9, or 10 seed. Just because without Joel Embiid, they really don't have any offense or defense.
So do they get him back? Are they going to get him back in the playoffs?
They're going to get him back here. I think he's going to be back with like about 3 weeks to go. So he'll be able to get into playoff shape and he'll be rested, which is going to be nice. At least that's what signs are leading to, that he should be back in early April. Okay. And I think the season ends April 21st, somewhere around there.
I mean, that's good. At least he's not getting launched directly into the playoffs.
Right. No, and that's the good thing about that he can start to get back to game shape because he's going to be rusty initially, and you don't want to have to deal with the rust like game 2 or game 3 of any series. So he should be back, and if he gets anywhere near where he was before he got hurt, I mean that's going to spell trouble for anywhere, any team that the Sixers are going to go up against.
Yeah, but I mean it's definitely a wildly different team with him on the floor.
Correct. And it'll be interesting to see when everybody is healthy and what that team actually looks like. Kyle Lowry in there with Joel Embiid and Maxey and Tobias Harris. And you know, who am I thinking of? Um, the guy that we picked up from Indiana. Yeah, I can't. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Okay, well, doesn't matter. Obviously, you
Yeah,
don't remember his name either.
I don't. I don't. Ah,
I'm trying to think. Healed, Buddy Healed. That's it.
oh, okay. I would
Took me a
not have come up
second to
with
try to figure out. Yeah, so yeah, you put those five out there. That's going to be an interesting team. You know, what I mean, I think that that's absolutely worthwhile to see what that team looks like and how far they could go. But it's still going to
Yep.
be a fight. You know, I don't think that it's, until they get past the second round, I don't really have a true reel on that. So Russell Wilson has got, a possible landing spot in Pittsburgh.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the
I mean, it's
Steelers
the
are
one spot
interested.
that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, because they don't have anybody. Pickett
Yeah,
was
I
not
mean,
the right answer.
right? Like you got Pickett, you got Rudolph. I mean, that defense is good enough that just competent quarterback play would have been a difference maker. And Russ can still give you that, right? Like he may not be prime Russ, but he's better than Mason Rudolph. So, I mean, I feel like that team could be doing something. Is it the long-term answer? No, definitely not. But is it a better option than Rudolph and Pickett? Absolutely. So I could
See,
see.
Rob, you went wrong there, Rob. So actually, it opened up a spot for Russ. So he's not going to the Bills. He's now going to Pittsburgh. He's got to
Yeah.
take over for Trubisky. That's
And
a
that's
little
what I'm saying. Like that seems like an easy, like Trubisky, Russ. Be like, okay, yeah, I'm taking Russ. Like, and honestly, like the Falcons could still be an option for him. Again, they just need competent quarterback play. I would imagine they're going to take a bigger swing at Kirk Cousins than they would Russ. It does sound like they are very interested in Saquon. So, add that to the mix. That could be interesting. So,
Well, hold on. You said Atlanta is interested in Saquon?
yeah, there were rumors. I don't know why, right? Because they got Bijan, but
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, dude, what?
unless
So
the
they
new
don't use
coach is also going to forget Bijan is on the roster. I know they were talking about potentially the Texans as well as landing spots for Saquon. But
Yeah, I could see the Texans more. That he would actually be worthwhile there and start to really maybe add to that team. Um, Although they didn't have a bad running game last season, and obviously they made it. They did win a playoff game.
Yeah.
So that'll
Rumors.
be interesting to see where he goes. And then All Pro safety Simmons from the Denver Broncos, Justin Simmons, was released.
It sounds like there's going to be a few more releases coming too. That's a team that looks like they're clearing the slate. Some of that I think they have to do because of the cap hit they're eating because of Russ. So,
Yeah, well, I can imagine. I mean, they're saving $14 million, which only makes that that cap hit $70 million for Russ.
exactly. Yeah.
So
I was actually a little surprised they didn't wait on the Russ thing, right? Because if they do it now, it's 85 and it's all this year. Whereas if they waited until after June, it'd be split over the 2 years. Now, maybe they're just like, you know what, let's just clear house today and then move on with it. But it seems like splitting it over the two. I mean, unless they were already planning on getting rid of a bunch of guys, I guess. But I don't know. Seems tough to take 85 in one shot.
well, yeah, but I guess you don't want to kick the can down any further.
Well,
And
I mean,
that's
it would
ultimately
only
where
be
it
split
comes.
over 2 years, right? So, I mean,
Yeah, but even still, now you got to still deal with it for next year. You know what I
true.
mean? Now you're paying the quarterback literally for 2 years, and you're not going to have him. So let's just get rid of it. Let's just get rid of the mess. Take it on the chin. Figure out how we're going to deal with it this year, and next year we start 100% fresh.
True.
So
And
that's
they have
kind of how I look at that.
they have all their picks next year too. So, I mean, they're still dealing with a little bit of pick issue this year as well, right? Like they don't have all their draft capital. So
Right.
from the Sean Payton acquisition. So so next year, yeah, I mean, I guess you have all of that mess off the books. You have all of your picks again. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's just, it's such a large number. It makes the Carson Wentz thing look like it was nothing.
Right. Right.
You know,
Exactly. Because Carson Wentz was the first one to deal with it.
Yeah, because his was like 44, wasn't it? Something like that.
37, I think it wound up
37.
being.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was 44. 44 was for Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan had the record right there. I think he had 39. So, I know that we ate some, but maybe it wasn't even 37. Maybe it was only 27 million. But I knew it was like at the time it was the biggest hit, and then Atlanta, eclipsed that, and now obviously Russ is doing this all the way up until that Cleveland Browns get rid of Deshaun Watson, and then that'll be the biggest hit.
You have to think if Watson is what he was this year, next year, it's a wrap. Like you have to think they'd be like, you know what, we messed up. I mean, he did have one good game before getting hurt, so maybe
just one, and especially when they have such a talent like Joe Flacco that they're able to choose from. Why would you want to have Deshaun Watson?
I mean, it's bad when a 40-year-old Flacco is outperforming your 230 million guaranteed supposed superstar. Like that's not great. And it's not like he played amazing, right? Like his touchdown to interception ratio wasn't anything to write home about. So it was like 14-9. Like it wasn't like he was out there killing it. He was putting up yards, but he was completing passes to the other team at a pretty regular rate as well. So, man, I don't know. And if that's outshining your big dollar guy, man, that's rough.
Yeah, I was going to say in that playoff game, I think he threw 4 touchdowns, just 2 to the wrong team.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, 2 pick sixes. It's still a touchdown throw.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that always made me laugh, on the Seahawks front when Matt Hasselbeck was here, right? And it was a game against Green Bay. He's like, we want the ball and we're going to score in overtime. And he threw a touchdown pass. It just wasn't to our team. But, at the end of the day, he wasn't wrong, right?
Right. Yeah, we're going to score. It's like the kiss of death. You just didn't announcing your plans to God. Nope. That doesn't. God has a different plan now, especially since you think you know what's going on.
Right.
But
all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're kind of being a douche. Let's just go ahead and crush this. But it was one of the funnier. Like I liked the confidence of it though. Like to walk out there and be like, we want the ball, we're going to score. And you're like, yeah. And then you watched him throw that ball and you're like, damn.
Too much going on there. Just too much thinking. But anyways, to go back to the fact that Justin Simmons got released, there's been a lot of safeties that got released this year, and there was also already a pretty strong free agent group of safeties. So Justin Simmons is like, here's the other ones: Eddie Jackson, Kevin Byard, who was part of the Eagles for a little while, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, Rashawn Jenkins, Jordan Poyer. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys right there. A few of them that were all pro, at least at one point.
Yeah, and a bunch of them. I mean, I think just about all of those have multiple Pro Bowls. So I mean, like multiple Pro Bowls, all pros. Like I mean, there's a good free agent market to pick from, and as I recall, there's actually some decent safeties in this draft as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be. I mean, I guess that every year there's one set or one group that winds up getting revamped. And this year kind of looks like safeties because a lot of these safeties are they're saving $14 million by dropping him. Kevin Byard, same situation, dropping him, saved the Eagles $14 million. So do you see these safeties maybe getting signed now for less because there's so many of them?
Well, I think that's the deal is you will be able to pick one of those guys up for less than what they were going to be making. But both of the ones for the Hawks, I mean, both of those were high dollar cap casualties. So it, because I think when they got rid of Diggs, that freed up I want to say it was like, I think it was 12. I think it was 12 mil they saved on that. Jamal Adams, they saved another 10. And then they got rid of a tight end as well. So, I mean, they went from being, really in cap trouble to having 40 million in cap space now.
Gotcha. And well, it's going to be interesting because I really only care about Dallas. I want to see where Dallas winds up with cap space, if they even have any cap space or how they're going to do it. That's going to be a very interesting way to see how their capology works.
I mean, I feel like they have to be about to fall apart because, I mean, some of the things that some of the only ways they can free up cap space is going to significantly hurt the team.
Right. I agree. I mean, they're still paying. They are still paying for Zeke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's. I think this is the last year that they have to pay for him. But and they still got $60 million with Dak. That he cost them this year. It's like it's ridiculous. Across the board. But here's something that came across me as a surprise, and there was a little bit of an outcry from certain Eagles fans. Zach Ertz is going to go to the Commanders for a 1-year deal. It's reported it's going to be about $5 million.
Okay.
I know that their tight ends are free agents, so they're going to wind up losing him. Yeah. So going there, he's going to come back into the division here. I
mean, like, I can't hate on the guy. He's had quite the career, and he wants to get a couple more dollars. I'm not mad at that.
Well, I mean, it's either that or he has to stay home with the wife and kids. And not that he's opposed to that, I'm sure, because they still do a lot of stuff. The Ertz Foundation still does a lot of stuff in Philadelphia and around Philadelphia. So it's still, they're pretty active in general, but it's,
I mean, even being back in the division, I can't imagine that there's a whole lot of pushback from your fan base. Like he was a monster for the Eagles.
Well, they wanted to see him come back and play a couple of more games to get like a few more receptions to get the all-time lead.
Oh, sure.
That was really it. Anything else beyond that is, I think that's really where the crying comes from.
I got you.
And do we have a mohawk? Is that a mohawk?
It is.
Yeah, my hairspray died down, so now it's coming out. But yeah.
How about that?
I'm waiting for that gorilla snot to come in as you talk. I ordered some of that online.
Gonna spike it straight up.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a shot and see how it looks. But yeah. So how's everybody doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm even better now that I see that I still have the best mohawk on the.
Oh yeah.
On the panel.
When mine is all I don't have it braided right now, but you wait, mine's braided. It's gonna look better. Hey, just so you know, our boy Stat Guy will be joining us here in about 20 minutes, just for a little bit.
Right.
Sports. Hey, can I ask you guys a question? I don't know if y'all are talking about it, or Patrick, if you're going to talk about it, but are we talking about this whole Caleb Williams and all the stuff that he's saying and all the craziness that he's saying?
We haven't yet, but you could bring it up right now.
Yeah, I almost feel like he's becoming like LeVar Ball. Like his dad is like being like LeVar Ball, like 2.0, with all the hyped up ritual stuff. Like, I mean, have you seen like Caleb Williams saying, well, I can't do this unless I get these residual rights, and he wants all this stuff allocated to his name. And of course, then they were trying to say, well, I'm not going to sign with the team unless they give me X percent of the team ownership, and it just goes on and on and on. And I'm like, bro, you haven't even played a down in football yet in NFL, and you're already asking for all these perks that you would get if you had 10 years in the league or something.
That was funny because that was one of the first things he said, is that he wanted to have, a part ownership of whatever team he goes to. And it was just like, you probably need to calm down a little bit. It's some of the things that are coming out of his mouth make it a little Manziel-ish, right?
Well, yeah, and you know what? But it just reminds me so much of what LeVar Ball was trying to do for Lonzo and what's the other one? The first one that came out. The first ball that went to the Lakers.
Yeah, what's that? LaMelo or
Well, Lamelo went to Charlotte, and then I think I think it was I guess it was
Lonzo.
Yeah.
Lonzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they're trying to do that type of scenario where I'm going to come in and have all these dictations. Like we're going to start up our own shoe company, and it's they're going to be $450 shoes, and the guy hadn't even shot one basket yet. But they're trying to get people to pay $450 for a pair of shoes.
That is something wildly different about the NBA than what it used to be, though, right? Like now these guys are getting paid before they ever step on the court, where it used to be more like football, where you kind of got through your rookie contract and then you got paid. Now these guys are getting paid before they ever even put a jersey on. So that's a wildly different animal now.
Yeah. I just can't, and again, would you really want to bring a guy into your team and have him be your QB1 if he has this type of mentality or this type of thought process? I don't know. To me, that just seems red flags.
The best thing is for what it is we do, it's going to give us free content because it's either going to work or, man, it's not.
Yeah, I know, right? But I don't know. I just the arrogancy of somebody of him and what he's thinking he's going to do. I mean, it blows my mind. Honestly, it really does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just been so much that he's said that you're just like, what are we even doing now? Like, I think the one he said, I don't want to paraphrase it. I actually have a picture of it because it was hilarious and stupid all at the same time. Let's see. Where the hell did it go? I thought I had it. Anyway, here we go. It's not money. It's not fame. It's to be immortal. I want to reach that sense of being a legend. And it's just like, calm down, man. Let's try not to be a first round bust. Right? Like, let's just make sure we can play in this league first. Right? Like, do I think he's going to be a bust? I have no idea. But, I mean, if you're going to come out saying stuff like that, I mean, just reel it in a little bit. You're going to get drafted to a bad team.
Oh, yeah. And how would you like to be that first defensive end linebacker or whatever that just puts a nice sack on his butt and just puts him on the ground and says, "Hello, rookie. What do you think you're getting?" I mean, like, I would love to be that first guy that just plants him on the ground, man.
You come out saying stuff like this, he's going to have a lot of welcome to the NFL moments.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Every D-end and inside linebacker is like, let me blow this kid's helmet off. I'll take the 15-yarder.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
What's up, legend? Yeah, I'll be like, "What's up, legend? Welcome to the NFL."
You know what's immortal? This clip on Sports Center.
Exactly.
Exactly. We're gonna have you out here seeing ghosts.
Yeah, I just wonder what, like some of the great broadcasters, would say about this guy. What's the one guy, the legend, John Madden? I wonder what John Madden would say about this guy.
Oh, I mean, John Madden's quote will be awesome, especially if one of those DNs goes and gets him, because it'll be like, deep penetration in the backfield.
I see it put like circles on the little board. You think Caleb Williams goes left? Yep. Caleb Williams goes right. Caleb gets sacked. I guess that's the thing that makes him immortal.
So so it's interesting to me how some rookies or some of these guys are ridiculous, because this is starting to pan out. Like, he better work out, like he better make sure that he does good in the NFL, because if he doesn't, I mean, this is starting to smell a little bit like
Johnny Manziel. Like, that's exactly. It's this thing, right? Like, show me the money. It's like, man, you better calm down, because the last thing you need, especially as a rookie, is to have the entire league having bulletin board material on you.
Oh yeah. And let me ask you, if Caleb Williams does turn out to be a bust, how does that guy walk down the street of any neighborhood and hold your head up high because everybody's going to be, they're going to be like, hey, that's Caleb Williams, the guy that said all this crap. Like, you can't go nowhere without somebody bringing it up. And like, that would be hard. That would be hard pill to swallow if you don't work out like you claim to work out.
It's bad enough to be a bust. If you're a bust and you are hyping yourself up like crazy, that's a problem. It's the reason that people remember Brian Bosworth, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is he was the media machine before it was a thing, right? Like he
made the best movies.
I mean, he hyped himself up like no tomorrow, but what lives in infamy is Bo Jackson running him over, right? So, and would that have happened had he not been like, I'm the Bo stopper and all of this stuff? No, you wouldn't remember the guy at all. But his name will pop up every time you talk about Bo Jackson, every time there's a 30 for 30 that goes back to 80s, 90s football. Bosworth is in there as one of the bigger busts, and mostly because he talked himself up so much. Because it's not like his gameplay was horrible. It just didn't fit all the talking he did.
Right. His motorboat mouth outran his sailboat ass, as they say. but with him also left the big back on the shoulder pads.
Yeah,
that monster.
Yeah.
I loved that thing, and it's not you don't see anybody really wear that anymore. So
the guy I loved the neck roll on more than anybody was Alstott. Right? Because you have an offensive player with a neck roll coming to just ruin your life. You're just like, could you imagine being a DB and you have to pop inside to try and tackle Mike Alstott? Like, there's a reason they called him the A train, right? Like he was going to come and just blast you. Like he liked the contact.
Well, you played football. I mean, do you think that those neck rolls, were they really good for what their purpose was?
Yeah, they absolutely were. Because what they would do is they'd keep your neck from overextending. And a lot of times you could get the back of your helmet kind of tucked into that. So you didn't have to worry about dropping your head, right? Because you could feel the pressure there. And, because if you drop your head, you run into, real injuries. But more than anything, a lot of times you end up with stingers, right? You'll come out of the game because you dropped your head. So the neck roll kind of just placed your helmet into your shoulder pads. So, I mean, it was something that they came in and you knew anybody that had a neck roll was just coming to hit you. And as a DB, when you had somebody that was a huge guy on you, had a ton of weight and had a neck roll or something, how did you tackle him? Yeah, you didn't go high. You made a business decision. You took them legs out. You're like, oh yeah, this dude has 80 pounds on me and a neck roll. And, it's like, yeah, no, that's cool. I'm trying to still play the rest of this game.
Well, like I said, you don't see it at all anymore. Like there's nobody that has it in the NFL.
No.
So
well, you're not allowed to hit that way anymore either.
There we go. All right, and we have Dustin, the stat guy, here as well. He's driving those, so he's just listening in and will respond as need be. That's why we're not, we don't want to break any laws here with him going on. What's up, Dustin?
I was in prison once this week. I don't need to go back for illegal driving.
Exactly. So
I feel like you're actually there now. This is your one phone call.
No, I have a girls' state basketball to cover the rest of today and all day tomorrow, so I'm driving up there right now since the first game doesn't start until like 1 o'clock.
Girls' state high school?
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Who do you see projected to be the state champion?
Well, it depends on what division because we got 5 divisions, so if I had to guess, I'll just go with the big schools. I'm going to say Nina is going to win because their best player is actually a UConn commit. So she's averaging about 35 points per game right now as a senior. She surpassed the 3,000 point mark a couple weeks ago and is a McDonald's All-American. So I'm going to give them the edge just because she's the ultimate X factor.
Wow.
Yeah, that would probably do it, especially since she's, UConn does not take just anybody. They have to.
No.
They have a rep to protect. So, well, that's awesome. Hey, listen, you guys are since you guys weren't here, the lead story today was Mike Tyson getting back into the ring against Jake Paul. I want to hear what you guys got to say about that.
Well, number one, I wonder if Mike Tyson's actually going to go all out against Jake Paul. I'll tell you right now. Look, man, I know this guy is like a media machine, right? He's just doing all this fanatical stuff, left, right, up, or down. But this is Iron Mike, and Iron Mike. Bo, I know you see it. Dustin, I know you see it. He has put clips out there where he's doing training in the gym, and this guy hasn't lost too much. He still has pretty good speed. He has really good power. And if he goes out there and fights like a professional fighter and not just a publicity stunt, because that's what worries me, Bo. What worries me is that this is going to be a publicity stunt, and it's just going to be more frolic.
No, that's exactly what I said.
What I'm saying?
That's exactly what I said it was going to be. This is an exhibition match, and he's not going to be allowed to just beat the tar out of Jake Paul. That being said, to Pag's point is, once he's in the ring, can Mike turn that off? And I don't know if he can, right? He has that element of crazy, and maybe he just starts teeing off on him, and, I'd watch that.
I mean, I would too. If Mike actually goes out there and plays like he's going up against Lennox Lewis or Evander Holyfield, and he actually goes with that mentality.
Well, I don't know if he needs to go the Holyfield mentality. That was like
well, that might be here. I mean, okay, let me paraphrase. Everything with no, you know what? No.
Like, give him a
smack the ear and I hope he bites the upper lip too. Jake Paul needs to be brought down a few rungs, okay?
Well, like I said at the beginning of the show, I want to see him actually fight a boxer that's currently boxing, right? Like, I'm tired of seeing retired guys or retired MMA dudes or even some of the current MMA guys, because that's just not how they fight.
Right.
Like, go fight a guy that legitimately is boxing and is ranked today, right? Let's see that fight. Now, I don't think he wants to get beat up like that. But, at the end of the day, he's doing these things to make money, which I'm not mad at. But, and he's put in a ton of work, right? Like, you look at him, he looks like he could go box.
A boxer. He looks like a boxer. Yeah, and like that, he would have to kind of start in the small. To be honest, I don't mind this fight if it's like I said, I understand it's an exhibition, but if it's a real fight, if he's really boxing against Mike Tyson, he can handle himself there, then I think you can actually start to really see him go up against real boxers.
Right.
This is where I think that he has done this because he's a social media guy, and he started to run with it, and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna put myself in position so that I can win.
Yes.
This is one of those ones where I'm not so certain that he's assuming he's going to win this one.
No, I think it'll be more like the Mayweather one, where he is, it's a draw kind of thing, right? Like it's the exhibition. But I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, what Tyson at this point is 60, right? So it's not like you're
I don't
talking.
think he's even that old.
Yeah.
It way late 50s.
I think he's like 58, 59.
Yeah,
I think he's like 57, 58.
Right around there. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like you're dealing with
57
Tyson in his prime, right? So
well, that's true, but even Foreman boxed late into his life and did quite well. I mean, came back and got a title.
I like that you say that like he died.
Well, yeah, I don't mean the Foreman's dead, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he even came back late. But and I'm not gonna say, like, look, if you're putting Tyson in against Tyson Fury, and somebody that's really a boxer and really in the game, yeah, I totally agree with you, Bo. But this is freaking Jake Paul. This dude, I mean, come on, let's be honest, let's be real. Tyson could murder this dude. And I remember back when in the Rocky film, where I think it's actually called Rocky, where he makes the comeback at 60, and the guy Tolliver or whatever that plays says, "Hey, look, man, we're gonna make this look good. A few little jabs, but if you pull one on me, I'm gonna hurt you."
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like this is. Like, I feel like they're just gonna do a few rounds. It'll be a little dance. but I don't think this is going to be a real true fight. And it's going to put money in their pockets, but it's not good for us that are paying for it to watch. That's why I won't pay for it. I don't think it's real.
No, that's where we came up with our Wild Wings commercial earlier.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a watch party and actually do a special edition of Coast to Coast where we're gonna report on the fight from Wild Wings, and Wild Wings is gonna give us free beer and some wings.
Okay, well, hey, if we're all gonna go to Wild Wings, then I will. Hey, what day is this fight? If you don't mind me asking.
July 20th. So he will be 58. He turns 58 June 30th. So he's going to be 58. It's almost like his birthday party. Gets 20 days later, he gets a nice $20 million. Probably that's what I would imagine he'd make on that fight. And Jake Paul gets the rest.
How many rounds, guys? But how many rounds does this go?
It doesn't. How many rounds does it go?
Goes the distance.
It goes one round. Mike Tyson. It goes one round. Mike Tyson will knock him out.
No, that would be amazing. I actually would want to pay for that.
Honestly, at this point, I don't even think Mike Tyson likes Jake Paul. And if you put Mike Tyson in a fight, he's not gonna take it lightly. Though he's not like one of these guys that will do this for publicity. He's not one of these guys that'll be, well, I'm just going in the ring just to go in there. You put him in a ring, he's going in there to kill you. And to look at the size difference of Mike Tyson, you look at how hard Mike Tyson punches compared to Paul. Mm-hmm. This will be like the one fight that Jake Paul regrets after getting in the ring. And I do think Mike Tyson will knock him out in the first round.
That would be amazing. And I mean, Tyson still has a ton of power and hand speed, right? Yeah. As you see the clips of it working out, his hand speed is impressive.
It's still on point. That's what I'm saying. His hand speed is still on point.
It's whether or not his lungs and athleticism will allow him to carry very far.
You got a good point.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Jake Paul just had a fight, a few days ago, and he beat Ryan Borland in the first round. I mean, that was a ridiculous fight. But ultimately, he's now calling out. So he's 17-2. I guess he lost that one fight.
Well, he lost to Fury.
He lost to Mayweather, right? He technically lost to Mayweather. There was no way that Mayweather was going to let him be the one loss on his record, right? Because he was undefeated, whatever. So
no, he's Borland was 17-3. Paul is 9-1. He actually only lost was a split decision to Tommy Fury.
Yeah, the Fury's brother.
So I guess he was considered when he won that fight. But ultimately, I'd love to see Jake get his ass kicked.
100%.
I mean, like literally.
To be fair, I hope it goes more than one round because I want to see him collect some hits.
Well, the thing is, to get Mike Tyson to come out of he's basically been retired for how long? But to get Mike Tyson to come out of his retirement to basically do this, he's not going to do it just for shits and giggles. He's point that if he wanted to box, he could still box. And that's why I said if I'm Jake Paul, I'm looking at regretting every single second of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd be regretting it too if I got hit by Mike Tyson. I'm down. I'm kicking. I am gonna get my check though.
And I'm reading now this story a little bit that they actually have a little bit of a history that they don't like one another because they fought the same night. The last time Tyson fought was against Roy Jones Jr., which was a draw, and he was the undercard. So
that's another reason why I think Paul gets knocked out in the first round. It's because if Mike Tyson doesn't like you, he makes it a point to prove he doesn't like you. And he doesn't use his words. He uses about 1,000 pounds of force coming out of two fists.
Yeah. I think he goes there.
He goes, and I'm very much looking forward to stepping into the ring with Jake Paul at the AT&T Stadium. So I think that's it'll be interesting to watch. I'd love to see I'd love to, like I said, I'd love to see him knock him out, just crush him. But we will have to tune in on July 20th, and make sure that you tune in to us that night so that you can see us at Buffalo Wild Wings as we are going to do the reporting of that. It's like it'll almost like being ringside, just not.
Just not.
So, you know what? Other than that, like there hasn't really, this is like the dog days before baseball really begins and stuff like that. I mean,
Yep.
it's like this is where things are moving like super slow. I mean, I'm going to a Flyers game tonight, so I'm going to get to see the best team in the NHL is the Florida Panthers right now. So I get to see what they look like going into the playoffs, and the first time going to that arena. So the Philly Sports Guy is going to be out and about in Sunrise, Florida. So if you
Nice.
see me, come take a picture. That being said, ain't much to talk about. This is where we start going off the rails a little bit here. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and go a little early and take our station identification break. And then when we come back, hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about, because there ain't nothing going on. There ain't nothing happening here. It's a boring week, which is good for me because I'm down in Miami anyway. So we'll be back. So we'll be back just after these messages for the second half of Coast to Coast. I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, guess any.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Sometimes, all you need to change your life is a sign. A sign that says, "Hank, this is the place you've been looking for." And sometimes that sign is an actual sign that's mounted to a building. 1 second, I'm looking at a sign. I know what you're thinking, and no, I don't love B-dubs just because I'm a buffalo with wings. Frankly, that's offensive and reductionist. Cause this place, come on. It's like they took beer and made it into a place and then gave that place sports and chicken wings. And the people? Cuba. The best.
Oh! What the is going on, Marty? This isn't a game. This is trivia.
Yeah, this place is kind of like heaven. Without needing to get hit by a bus. Let's go, sports bar.
Supporting the needs of our veterans. That's the goal of all of us at Team AmVets. Like Mitch, Carlos, and Kevin from our Welcome Home team that brings furniture to our vets.
We are Team AmVets.
Or Linda from our thrift stores who brings you great bargains every day.
I am Team AmVets.
And John, who picks up your thrift store donations that support California veterans programs.
I am Team AmVets.
Visit our website or Team AmVets thrift store to donate or shop today.
Join the team!
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And welcome back to the second hour of Coast to Coast, where we got all four of us here right now. At least, we can see three of us. One's driving, so we're making sure that we don't get banned for doing illegal activities while we're on the show.
Does anybody like margaritas?
Of course.
Not while
I
you're
have
driving, though.
I have a semi truck in front of me whose back door is open and margarita mix is falling out.
That seems awesome.
Well, take some of that up and mail it to me.
See,
Right.
I
But
tell
that
you,
is not awesome on the highway.
no,
That's fair.
I guess
That's fair.
I guess as long as you're able to weave in and out of the margarita mix, you should be good. So I'd probably go and try to pass him and give him the wave and be like, "Hey, you're losing some product."
He's on the shoulder of the road right now, so I think he figured it out by now, but I don't know how much he lost.
Oh, that's gonna be a
Yeah,
rough
that's
payday.
brutal. That's brutal.
And well, you know what? That's just one less margarita I'm going to drink because that's what made me crispy from last night. I had 5 or 6 of those margaritas, and they were going down really good. Very easy.
They usually
and then
do.
that's what happens. That's what happens. You're enjoying yourself, and the next thing you know, you're drunk.
Especially when you're somewhere warm, right? Like it's definitely easy to roll through a few of those.
Yeah, because it was. Hey, listen, I'm glad I made it back home last night. That's really the most important part. Because you never know how things are going to go when you're walking around Miami, and I was able to get an Uber and get the right spot. Like, hey, here's where I'm at. So perfect. Yay me.
Uber.
Tell me about it, because that's exactly how I'm getting around. And then tomorrow I'm not going to be here. I'm going to get to go sailing.
Yep.
So it'll be my first time actually going sailing. I've been on plenty of boats, but I've never been on a sailboat before. So
Oh, really?
That's good.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to
That's
figure out
fun.
exactly what a jig boom is.
So are you participating in the sailing, or are you just hanging out?
I'll
Like,
probably participate. I think it's
Okay.
really because I think it's only going to be 2 of us. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Okay.
I have like I said, I have some friends that are down here, and one's taking off work tomorrow so that we can go and hang out. Which is why I was like, all right, now I'll just make sure I can't come to the show tomorrow. So if you hear from me, I will definitely be on board a ship.
Yeah, I'm
So,
gonna go with signal will be not good enough, but it would be cool if you can.
Hey,
there you go.
Hey, look, as long as it's not a 3-hour tour.
Hey, you know what? But there was a lot of cool stuff that happened on that island. After when they got they got shipwrecked. I've never seen a boat get shipwrecked on an island that so many people went to visit.
And can't tell nobody about it. How interesting.
They're like, damn, we can never get
I don't
found.
think you can really go in 3 hours if you're on an island. I mean, if it's just 3 hours, I mean, you should be able to confidently make that back, I think.
Well, and it's a 3-hour tour, which means your entire loop was supposed to be 3 hours. Like, you can't be that far away.
Yeah, right.
Right.
What a time
But
to
the
be
tiny
alive,
ship got
man.
tossed.
So it did.
The minnow almost went down.
Hey,
But
let me ask you guys a question. So, Pags, I know y'all
The
saw,
skipper,
man.
the skipper skipped the stuff.
Hey, so the Buffalo Bills released, quite a few reputable guys on their team. What are y'all expecting from the Bills this coming season?
I mean, they're still going to compete. Like they still have a decent team. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still think that's going to be an interesting division to watch, really.
Right. Well, most of the guys they cut were on defense, and so I'm wondering how that defense is actually gonna pan out next year.
got you. So I mean, interestingly enough, they're keeping Von Miller. That out of all the people that they dropped, they did not drop. But they dropped
Well, that's because
White. Good.
What do you say,
Jordan
Dustin?
Poyer. Jordan Poyer was the safety they dropped, and I said the reason why they kept Von Miller is because he restructured his contract to basically take $12 million off the books.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, but you got Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, and Devontae Hardy all being released, and they're all veterans. Not that that's. I mean, it, none of those names stand out to me as like great, you know.
Right.
And they need a little bit of a revamp. I feel they're just not. They're not ready to like. You could say that their window is closing, but I just don't think that that window was ever really open the way that they wanted to. It's like they're
Right.
to go as far as their quarterback's going to take them, and Josh Allen just only takes them so far.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen reminds me so much of Brett Favre in that way, right? Like he'll probably end up with one ring. And it's because he will have 1 year where he doesn't make that fatal mistake in the playoffs. And then the rest of his career, he's going to have an opportunity, but he's going to play some hero ball and chuck it to the wrong guy and end the game. I mean, that's unfortunately, that's just the team that the Bills are putting around Josh Allen. And not to say that he hasn't had good players around him. Brett Favre did as well. But it's a reckless style of play that wins you a lot of games, but doesn't win you a lot of playoff games.
Yeah. Well, you know what I thought kind of messed up Brett Favre was that whole after he won the Super Bowl, that whole Chimera thing where they were all in the hot tub. Yeah, that kind of put a sour note on that Packers team.
I mean, he had other opportunities. I mean, his last year with the Vikings was a team that absolutely could have won a Super Bowl. But instead of throwing the ball away and being smart, he chucks it across his body because it's Brett Favre and gets picked, season over. It's not like it was a necessary throw. It was just a very Brett Favre thing to do. And when you look at how many picks Josh Allen throws, there's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? And I think of it. I mean, obviously, my favorite Brett Favre moment was the same game as the 4th and 26. We get that reception at 4th and 26 by Fred X, the people's champ. And next thing you know, we were able to get the field goal, bring it into overtime, and he threw up a duck. You know what I mean? To Dawkins, and we wind up winning that game. And it was just like, yep, that's a Brett Favre thing to do.
And speaking of John Madden earlier, his love for Brett Favre was second to none. Because anything that followed a boom also had a Brett Favre. Like he could work Brett Favre into every conversation.
The one thing I didn't care for that Brett Favre did, if we're going to talk about Brett Favre stories, is he gave away the sack title.
Oh,
yeah. He literally went up to him and said, "Hey, don't hit me, but I'm gonna roll out and fall to the ground, and you're gonna be the one that touches me." So like literally, just he went up to him and said something, and next thing you know, they gave him the sack.
Yeah,
because he was not having a good game that game. Strahan.
Well, the thing that people don't realize either is Favre's done that for a couple people though. I think it was either his only year with the Jets or one of his last games with the Vikings before the playoffs. He knew somebody on the defense needed one more interception to get a $1 million bonus. So Brett Favre was in the huddle and he said, "Hey, run to the right. I'm going to throw you the pass." And he would throw it right to him. He didn't really care if he didn't care if it went against his stat. He just wanted to get the player a $1 million bonus for hitting a certain amount of interceptions.
Yeah, he probably got a nice dinner for that.
Probably.
Maybe even $50,000. Like, hey, here you go. Let me just give this to you. It's worth it for me to slide under the table.
Yeah.
Well, Brett Favre does do some crazy stuff,
Well, I mean, that's an understatement based on his time with the Jets and stuff like that.
It was funny. I was watching Instagram yesterday for a little bit, because I'm sitting around doing nothing in Miami, just relaxing. I figure I'll read some Instagram, and I saw a video, and who you know, they were talking about naming quarterbacks that are all-time overrated.
Okay.
And one of the quarterbacks that came up was a three-time Super Bowl winner for the Dallas Cowboys, Troy Aikman.
Yeah. Which I think is complete horse shit, but whatever.
So, well,
I mean, they're always
of
gonna
course
say
you
that,
feel that
you
it's
know?
horse shit. Of
No,
course you
it's
feel
not
that.
that.
Time to get the popcorn ready.
It's not even that. I'm not even gonna go crazy like that because it's just, to me, it's not even worth even addressing because I think it's completely stupid. It's completely stupid.
So
Look,
here was the argument. Here was the argument. He was never first, second, or third team All Pro. He never had a great touchdown to interception ratio. It wasn't like he threw a good amount of interceptions. And he does have three rings. So, I mean, there is something for that he was able to be a good leader of that team that had a good amount of egos. So there is some of that there. However, he didn't make many Pro Bowls, and he wasn't an all-pro player. Yet he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's where rings come in. Like, that's when you look at Eli Manning. Like, he's going to get in, and it has everything to do with the two rings because the rest of his career isn't that impressive. But those two rings will get him in.
Right.
Do you think
But
that he will get in?
He will get in, and solidly because of the two rings that he has.
Well, like Brett Favre,
I think he would have got in with the first ring.
I'm sorry, Troy.
He probably could have got in with the one ring, but two rings basically stamp his ticket. He won't be a first ballot, but he gets in.
No. I think he would have got in because he ended that perfect season.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. He would have had he had the one ring, he probably could have got there. But having two rings, I mean, it stamps his ticket. Like he's gonna get in. But if you look at his regular season stats, there's really no reason he should get in, right? No. Until you factor those two things in, because it's not like he was ever a real MVP candidate, right? He was never considered the best of his era or anything like that. Like there's none of the things that, and the stat column, isn't that impressive. So there's nothing that says, hey, Hall of Fame, but rings matter, especially in a voting situation. And for him to take down the undefeated Pats and, those types of things, he gets in. Do I love the fact that he gets in? Not really, but I mean, at the end of the day, those two rings, they solidify him getting in.
You could say the same thing though about Ben Roethlisberger.
100%.
He'll probably get in. He'll get in because of his two rings, and then another quarterback that's going to get in without even having a ring is Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, the thing with Rivers, his stat line is impressive.
Yeah, that's like, but I think he's like
yards.
Yeah, and like his touchdown interception ratio wasn't great. It was kind of similar to what Eli Manning's was for a while, but like Phillip Rivers never had any playoff success really because he barely ever made it to the playoffs. He never even got to a Super Bowl, but just because he racked up really good regular season numbers, he's going to get in on that. And that's kind of why whenever people make this argument that rings matter, you have to throw Phillip Rivers in that mix and say, Phillip Rivers doesn't have a ring, but he's got the numbers that say he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think Rivers gets in. He's another one that's not going to be a first ballot, though. He's going to be one of those last couple year eligibility that probably sneaks in that way. Because he doesn't have any playoff, success really, but I mean his regular season stats are amazing as far as yardage.
Yeah.
So here's Eli Manning. His quarterback record is 117 and 117. So he's literally 500.
Exactly.
60.3. Yeah, 60.3 completion, percentage.
Yep.
57,000 yards. 366 touchdowns, 244 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So
the numbers aren't great, right? I mean, the total yardage isn't horrible, right? Like that's decent, but the rest of the numbers, you're just like, and I mean, he threw that many yards because he was in the league forever, right? So I mean, that's one of those. LeBron is the scoring champ because he just played longer than everybody. So I mean,
he kind of reminds me of Joe Flacco in a way too, just because Joe Flacco has great regular season numbers. Obviously, not the last couple of years because he's kind of been getting to that father time side of his career where he's not doing much. But Joe Flacco didn't have like the greatest regular season numbers. But one thing that Eli Manning and Joe Flacco both have on their resume, they are terrific quarterbacks in the postseason. And that is kind of what's going to help Eli get into the Hall of Fame because of his playoff resume and what he's accomplished. And even with that one Super Bowl title that Joe Flacco has, Joe Flacco's tied, I believe, either tied for first or second in NFL history for the most road playoff wins. So that's going to come on his resume too when he retires, and voters are going to look at that saying, regular season is one thing, but Joe Flacco and Eli Manning knew how to step up in the playoffs when it mattered.
Yeah, I mean, they go into that clutch column, right? Like you can't argue that Eli Manning wasn't clutch in the playoffs, at least those 2 seasons, right? I mean, he gets in, and did he have some luck on his side? Sure. I mean, not everybody's going to catch a helmet catch every time, but I mean, he did come through in tight spots basically every game during those playoff runs. So, I mean, he definitely has a case to be made, especially when you're looking at the playoffs. But when you're looking at the rest of the career, you're just like, average. Like, I don't know.
We're talking Eli?
Yeah.
He led the league in interceptions 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, the fact that he's won 2 and he's a Manning, I think the Manning part is really
that's the big one too.
It definitely weighs in.
So, which brings me to another point, is now that I'm thinking about it, since there ain't really much to talk about anyways, so EA Sports is coming out with college football this year, and they paid, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 college athletes $600 to have their name and likeness put on this game. However, somebody who did not collect $600 and is not passing go, is Manning.
Yep.
Who's not even a starter.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
The thing that's funny is it reminds me of some of the first football video games where it just said QB number 14.
QB2. QB2.
Yeah, it's I find it ridiculous. Just, what is your brand too important?
$600
be on
enough.
I mean, that was the thing. First thing I thought of was like, hey, you got $3 million as part of the NIL money to not do a thing as of yet, and you were going to maybe transfer, you didn't transfer, and now you're going to sit on the bench again another year because you can't seem to beat out the existing quarterback that's there. I mean, I would say that's not very.
Yeah, that kind of worries me about that, because I've been thinking about that too. I feel like if you're not starting, then are you really as good as what they're saying? Because he did break his uncle's, passing records in high school, but that's high school. I mean, is he really as good as what everybody's thinking if he's not beating out Quentin Ewers? It just doesn't make sense.
And then ultimately, like I said, this is his second year that's going to be sitting. He's going to maybe start 1 year and then go into the NFL. Is that what we're going to look at? That's what's going to happen? They're going to be able to draft him?
I mean,
well, you got to look.
We've seen that a few times already.
Yeah, and you got to look at where Steve Sarkisian came from, though. He comes from that Alabama coaching tree under Nick Saban, where they have legitimately 4 or 5 quarterbacks on their roster, and very seldom do you ever see a freshman or a sophomore start, even if they're a better quarterback. Nick Saban kind of sits them on that bench and makes them kind of bide their time and earn their role, because you look at the whole Mac Jones situation and Jalen Hurts and all the quarterbacks that they had that ended up transferring out. There were several times during that Nick Saban era that the winning quarterback in the national championship game wasn't as good as the backup quarterback, but because they were junior or senior, they kind of got that seniority, and he would stick with them as opposed to going with the best talent all the time.
Well, that's because Nick Saban was able to do that because the transfer portal and NIL hadn't become a thing. But now that there's an NIL and there's a transfer portal, I mean, I don't know if he can afford to sit guys that long because they are going to transfer out. And I'm really surprised, honestly, that Archie hasn't transferred out. I really am.
Well, he was supposed to go to Oklahoma, wasn't he?
He's supposed to
That
go to
was kind
Ohio
of the
State,
thought.
I believe.
Yeah, you would think that would have been somewhere like he would have taken that
I would
opportunity.
think so.
I mean, Ohio State's a big name school. Problem is that quarterbacks don't typically do well coming out of Ohio State.
Nope. Yeah.
So I guess
So to answer Rob down here, because he actually asked this twice. What are my thoughts on the Mariners bullpen situation, especially with Brash injury? So based on the offseason that the Mariners had, I'm not expecting a lot of things out of this team anyway. So for this to happen is just kind of in line with what I thought it was going to be. Their spring training record right now is 2-9-1. So it's not exactly like they're even doing the things that they usually do where they play well in spring training and then forget how to play in April. It looks like this is just going to be a real long season for Mariners fans. So does the injury hurt? Sure. But it's not like they were pitching well anyway. So I don't think it ultimately is going to matter. This is just going to be kind of a rough season, and they got rid of things that were pieces that they should have built around, and instead we're going to be the feeder team to the league, just like the last 20 years. So at least we've already seen this movie before.
I mean, there's a couple options. There's a couple options you could go with to help your bullpen that'll come really cheap at this point. One of them being that Ryan Stanek, the former Houston Astros setup man, who's still sitting in free agency, and I don't know how he's still sitting there. And then Ken Giles, who maybe he hasn't pitched in a couple of years, but if you watched Ken Giles' workout a couple of weeks ago, he's still touching 98 to 100 miles an hour, and he's the guy that you could probably get at less than $1 million, knowing his age and knowing that he hasn't pitched since 2021.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things they could kind of Band-Aid with, but ultimately this roster got worse from last year. So, like, are they going to compete in the West? Probably not.
Yeah, I thought you guys should have picked up like a Ryan Stanek. You know, I watched him with Houston, and he is a really good pitcher. He's a good, steady, middle relief, that seventh inning guy or sixth or seventh inning guy that will get you. Well, that will eat up some innings for you guys. I'm surprised y'all have any. And you should be able to get him relatively cheap. I don't think it's going to cost you too much.
No, again, there's some things that you can kind of backfill and Band-Aid, but they don't have the team to really do much. This is one of those teams that they're going to have moments, right? They're going to have moments where you're like, okay, they might be figuring it out. And I would bet that this Mariners team will be about 8 games back out of the wild card spot at the end of the season.
So let me ask you, how long do you think that Rodriguez is going to stay around before he says, you know what, I'm out of here. Y'all aren't building anything. You're not doing anything.
I mean, I think you get 1 or 2 more seasons out of it. That might be it.
Didn't he just sign the extension, though?
He
signed a 6-year extension.
He did, but the Mariners are a team that will move a guy in a trade.
They'll move.
Yeah.
So since you're
go ahead.
Yeah, so since you're a Seattle fan, I was going to ask this before Jay asked his question. What was the reason they got rid of Robbie Ray?
Oh, because they don't want to win.
I mean, I get the guy was hurt. I get the guy was hurt last year, obviously, but when he pitched his first year in Seattle, the guy was a Cy Young caliber pitcher, and chances are he would have been right up in that category again this year. And you put him with Luis Castillo and Logan Gilbert and some of those other arms that you have in that rotation. Seattle would have had one of the best rotations in the American League with Robbie Ray, and now you're like, who's going to replace Robbie Ray?
Yeah, I mean, he did have a rough season last year. Obviously, the year before was great. They finally got into the playoffs that year. But, one of the biggest things is when you went from 2 seasons ago, right, they make it into the playoffs, they take down Toronto. You're like, okay, we can build around this team. Like we can, we'll add a few more pieces and this is going to be a real problem. And ultimately what happened is they just ran that roster back, and everybody else in our division, with the exception of the A's, because I don't count them as an actual baseball team, but everyone else added pieces, got better, and the Mariners stayed exactly where they were. And so they take a step back, right? And then this offseason, they start shedding pieces that were helpful pieces on the roster. But the biggest thing is the Mariners just don't like to pay. Like that's not what they do. They don't like to spend money. And unfortunately, that kind of keeps them in this middle of the road kind of spot, right? Like you're not horrible. So you still have people in the stands, but you're also not winning anything. And you narrowly miss the playoffs consistently. It's why I started a hashtag forever ago, is from hope to nope.
Well, you guys got really close. I mean, at one point last year, you were in first place.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long, but you did have first for a little bit.
So the Mariners have the most predictable cycle ever. Okay. So spring training, they play well, typically. Not this year, but generally, they play really well. And then for the month of April, they are terrible. And then they kind of start to build back up. And then you get to the All-Star break, and they're in the mix. And then the All-Star break happens. They forget how to play baseball for about 3 weeks. And then they'll go on a run right at the end of the season to just miss the playoffs. But in those runs, they'll end up with like a spot where they jump up and it looks like, okay, they're going to compete. And sometimes they'll even lead the division for a second. But then they drop off. They go on like a 8 or 10 game skid, and then they'll build back in again to miss the playoffs by like, 1 to 5 games is kind of where they like to hang out.
They like being sellers at the trade deadline.
They do. They like to, they're like, oh, you know what? We're actually playing pretty good. We might have expectations. We should probably get rid of some of these guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little worried about Verlander this year. He's going to start the season on the IL. And, a guy that's his age, you're coming in cold because you haven't really did a whole lot of pitching in spring training.
Yep.
I'm kind of nervous to see if he gets off to a slow start or if he picks up where he left off. I just don't really know what to expect from him, coming into it. I really hope they kind of ease him into it. Don't try to make him go, 7. Maybe you have him go at 4 or 5 and then ease him back into it, but
yep.
Yeah. I think that's, Verlander is, he was a great pitcher for a long time, but now he's overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's,
a lot of it is just injuries. I mean, you can only do so much with those injuries. Same thing with Jacob deGrom. I mean, amazing pitcher, but if you're hurt most of the time, and again, that goes with age. At a certain point, your body just can't, do what it wants to do. And Verlander is the kind of guy, he even said it. I'm the kind of guy that has to pitch every 4 days. Don't make me go 5. Don't make me go 6. Don't make me go 3. Every 4 days, I need to be pitching. But how do you do that?
If you got a routine, stick with that thing.
Yeah. But how can you be effective, if you're older and you're only pitching every 4 days, or you're pitching every 4 days, that puts a lot on your body as well. So I just don't know how effective he's going to be over the long haul.
I mean, so it's funny because it could be one of those where he needs it to be a little bit faster to stay loose, right?
That's good. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Sometimes waiting too long allows things to, get a little tight. I mean, we're all older. Can you just tear off and go run? No, but if you went for a jog and then a few days later you went for one again, you probably have an easier time than, let me just jump off the couch and try this thing out.
Well, I've got bad knees. I can't even go 5 feet without falling down. Calm down.
Well, that's going to change tomorrow, as of tomorrow,
yes.
is it not?
Yes. Hey, if all goes well, yes. I didn't tell you guys this. So the doctor came in and he goes, okay, so I see you here for a total knee replacement. I should probably tell you that sometimes these surgeries cannot be effective. They may or may not work. And, then he talks about, well, you could possibly die, but it's highly unlikely. I said, whoa, let me just stop you right there, doctor. It sounds to me like you're the number 2 string guy. It sounds to me like you're Cooper Rush.
So you're giving bulletin board material to your doctor? What are you doing?
No. Look, I told him flat out. I said, I need your first string. I need your Patrick Mahomes guy working on my knee because I need this thing to work.
I mean, the way you're setting him up, he's going to leave a shop towel inside you.
Exactly.
Man,
open up, take out the old knee, forget to put the new knee back in, and just let you
Right.
go. There you go.
Yep. All of a sudden, you're one of those just wiggly air guys. There's no bones.
They'll say, hey, when he comes off the table, just throw him in a wheelchair. Once he gets off the parking lot, he's somebody else's problem. He can't sue no more.
Exactly. It's,
Can't stand
just
up.
get him
to
on
fight.
out. He's got the 30-second.
Call him back.
Oh man.
The 30-second warranty. That's what you get with these knees. It's 30 seconds and you're done. That's it.
So is it a full-on replacement that you're getting?
Yeah, it's the whole nine. Everything. Yeah, they're gonna do everything
on both.
No, he said. I mean, they're gonna do the. Oh no, man! They put some kind of metal piece in the tibia. They put some kind of metal piece in the femur, and then they roll together. So it's the whole shebang. Because apparently, I got. When I was coming to Afghanistan, I didn't realize it, but it started out as just bone spurs, and then it went from bone spurs into tearing the meniscus. So
it looks like he's got that, the Mr. Potato Head mohawk.
Gonna get the Botox lips, just balloons.
I would, but they're expensive, Bo. I'm a cheap guy. Now, if you got some good silicone and a syringe, we might be able to make it work.
So what's the downtime going to be like? And you're getting both knees done?
Nah, luckily the left knee is still good. The right knee is the only one I'm getting done right now.
On the plus side, they're going to write on your leg with a Sharpie, this leg.
Yeah, right. Hey, don't fuck with the wrong. No, you laugh. Okay, let me tell you something.
They actually do that. They actually do that.
Hey, no, they do. Because I've had it done before. But I remember one time when I was in Kuwait, Bo, and I had to have my appendix taken out. And that damn Kuwait, and this is in Kuwait, and the guy goes, "Oh, Mr. McMahon, I see you here for a vasectomy." I said, "No, doc. No. I am so not here for a vasectomy. I'm here for an appendectomy. It's a completely different region. Please do not mess with stuff that doesn't need to be messed with." And then he's like, "Oh, no, Mr. McMahon, I know. I was just teasing. No, now is not the time."
I did not find it funny. Not even a little bit.
No,
it's like I was actually protecting the planet.
No, because you know what it is? The crazy thing about it is, what the crazy thing is, when they put you on the gurney before you go in the OR, they have these straps, and they strap you down.
Sure.
Even when across
trying to cut your junk off.
Bro. So when and then they roll you into the OR, and I'm still perfectly awake, like I'm talking to you guys right now, and I'm thinking like, this is weird. I'm strapped down. There's cutting instruments next to me. I wonder if they're gonna put me to sleep because I don't feel nothing. And then the lady starts looking at all the knives, and she's holding them up, and then I'm like,
she's just sharpening.
Yeah, I'm like,
got you.
Hey, this is before Saw came out, right? And I'm thinking like, oh man, I was like, what are they gonna do? And I said, excuse me, I don't know how you do it here in Kuwait, but in America, we put people out before they even see this room. Am I gonna get anesthesia? Am I gonna be going out? Don't worry, Mr. McMahon. It'll be okay. I don't think it's gonna be.
She's sharpening knives, and she's don't worry, you'll be asleep soon.
and right about then, that's when the doctor comes in and he says, I see you here for vasectomy. And I said, no, appendectomy. And again, now I'm really getting worried because I am so strapped in. I can't go nowhere. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't go nowhere. And it got to a point where they start pulling up the little curtains and they're coming in. Everybody's starting to congregate around. And I'm thinking like, oh, damn, these dudes are really going to operate on me with no anesthesia. I said, doctor, one more time, you guys are going to put me out, right? Like, I'm not going to be visually seeing or feeling this, right? Don't worry, Mr. McMahon. You're going to be, no, I don't think I am. And I started doing like this. And I'm trying to get out
they
of
really wanted to mess with you just as you're starting to fade out, be like, bye-bye.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened because I started jerking the hell out of those straps and then everything went black. And
count down from 30. Yeah, 20, 30, 29, 20.
Well, I'll tell you what a time to be alive. I have to say, that's how we do things overseas.
So you weren't able to have any kids afterwards, huh?
No. Which is
damn
not a
it, I
bad
can't
thing.
even sue them. Can't
know,
even
right?
sue that doctor.
I think he really did screw me over. or maybe he saved me a lot of child support. I don't know.
There you go.
Maybe,
One or the other.
Yeah, maybe he did me a good favor. Time will tell.
Yeah, I didn't know what those peas were for, so I just ate them.
No, but the lady goes, so yeah, you'll be here 1 to 2 days, just depending on when you can stand up and take a couple of steps. I said, let me tell you something. I don't plan to stay here overnight. I said, the wife's gonna make some prime rib. My ass will be walking at some level. If I have to crawl and get up out this place.
They actually do have you up and moving right away.
Yeah.
So how I ended up in Puerto Vallarta originally was Rob's mom. She got both of her knees done down there. And,
nice.
Yeah. So they actually have you up and moving real quick. Now the rehab from there takes a long time. But what's that?
Have you had that surgery before or something similar?
I have not. I have not. Is it in my future? Highly likely. But as it sits today, I haven't.
Oh, I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's sadly I probably get to join the bionic knee crew, but but
well, now they got this thing. Now, like I said, the version you get now, the standard version, the one that costs about $30,000 is the titanium or this chromium, right? But they got this one, unless you're LeBron James or somebody, and then you get the ceramic version. Now, the ceramic version is better because it doesn't scar, it doesn't scratch, it's scratch resistant, so it doesn't wear down as fast. So it actually goes longer. So
it also doesn't have the heat transfer issue that the metal ones.
Yeah.
So if you sit out in the sun, you got to be really careful about it overheating because it'll sit there and radiate heat through your body if you're out in the sun too long. So the ceramic ones are better in that way as well.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be worried about like the ceramic? I mean, I got to imagine that they somehow fortify that, but that ceramic I would be afraid of it shattering.
I mean, so the thing is whether it's the metal or the ceramic, like it's basically like a concrete compound that they attach it to your bone with. But the big thing is it only takes 7 pounds of pressure to break a bone anyway. So you're not any more likely to break the ceramic as you are your bones.
Oh, and that's another thing too. If you got the LeBron James money though, then you don't have to get the cement. They got another procedure that they do along with the ceramic that allows the body to naturally heal itself and attach to the mechanism without the cement.
Oh, interesting.
It's really weird. I mean, like they are getting better at this kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. I mean, look, I'm on the VA dime. So if I'm on the VA dime, I'm probably getting some JB Weld and some titanium from aisle 6.
Just every now and then you got to tighten the zip tie.
Hey, tighten it up a little bit. And that pus that's coming out of your knee, don't worry, it's perfectly fine.
That's right.
If it gets dark yellow, that means infections there. Don't worry.
When you're getting an MRI, it's going to look like Legos. That's totally fine.
That's totally cool. Don't worry about it. You're good to go. Whatever.
Something like that.
But yeah, so I'm getting that VA knee transplant. So it's going to be bare minimum. Look, I'm getting the guy that probably got an F in about 3 or 4 tests in medical school.
Oh, it's fine. It's going to be like the wrong size. It says, shipped from Temu.
That's messed up, but I can actually see that happening. You know what's funny though? The actual part, like the actual mechanism, that like the titanium, whatever, the stuff that goes in there, it's only worth about $400. But the rest of it is all the damn labor and anesthesia and all. That's where you pay all the money. The actual hardware itself is really not that expensive, which is, I thought was kind of weird.
It's the labor and it's the aftercare stuff that costs so much.
Yeah, I mean, plus you got to pay for all that insurance stuff. So they got to get money from. Although this is the VA, so the VA is just that scalpel that they use is $700.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, the only thing that came out of it that I feel kind of good is they're going to let me go to a specialty care, which is like a private doctor for the rehab. I was glad because I didn't want to have to get the VA rehab because they're not going to give you that well of service. And I think the rehab is probably the most important part, right? I mean, how well you recover.
Well, I would say the installation is probably the most important part, but after that,
you're right. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, right. I mean, you got to make sure it's done right?
Yeah, because the last thing you want to do is have to have them go back in and fix whatever it is they did. So.
Oh, yeah, that lady said, that's what she said too. She said, well, we're going to see you back in a couple of weeks because if there's an infection that gets in there, then we got to cut you open again. We got to flush you out, and then we got to leave it open, and then we got to bring you back in for a second surgery. We're going to flush it. And I'm like, oh God, I hope I don't get an infection.
No, I mean, like obviously, infection's a big thing. The rejection is always a potential, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's elements of it that the complications can happen. They're rare, right? Because I mean, they are using, they're using fine metals, so it's not like you're out there with some like low grade steel in there.
Well, I like to think my body is fairly friendly people that we get along with everybody. So I'm hoping that we're all going to be happy in one accord.
I figure they're just going to hook them up with some lead. Because lead does the body good.
See, the thing is we wouldn't even know the difference.
Right.
Is that lead poisoning? Nah, it's just Jay. Like, I don't know.
He's that kid that licks pencil lead. He'll be all right. Totally cool. No worries. No worries. Respirators, respirator masks, who needs those?
I mean, it's McLovin style, right? It's not the same character, but it kind of is. The snozberries taste like snozberries.
Exactly. So, but will they knock you out for this procedure?
Yeah, they said, because I've been with the anesthesia guy, so yeah, thank God I'll be knocked out for this one because I sure as hell would not want to see it or feel it.
Yeah, no, you definitely are knocked out for that because they they got the bone saw and stuff. So
they said the first week is the hardest one, and then after the first week, then the next 5 weeks start to become easier. As long as you do your rehab and walk a lot, they said it gets easier. So, but they said those first couple of days you're all drugged up. But I don't really like to do the painkiller drugs, so we'll see how that works out. You may not notice, but I have a very addictive personality. I'll be that Jay popping pills. Hey, hold on a minute.
You're just over there throwing hands of Skittles.
Hey, I'll be like, hey, do you get painkillers in this size bag? No, we don't need the bottle. Just give me the bag.
That's hilarious. I have that same bag sitting on my nightstand.
Hey, you got to admit they're good though, aren't they?
They are tasty. They are tasty.
Yeah, I don't have Skittles. I have Werther's Original.
Oh, okay, there you go. There you go. You're embracing your old guy.
Exactly.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme where they said Joe Biden is that kind of guy that he comes over to your house and you're like, hey, put Grandpa over in a corner and give him a bag of Werther's.
Hey.
And then when he talks to you, you just go, yeah, that's right. That's right. And you keep going. Oh, man, he was making so much fun of Joe Biden. It was hilarious.
Well, he's so hard to make fun of. So
there's a lot of material there.
Yes, there is a whole lot of material.
On both sides. That's the thing that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't feel good about either person. You're watching this thing unfold, and you're just like, what are we even doing right now?
I'm hoping one of these days we'll get a candidate that just comes up and actually, you can believe him. We'll see. We'll see.
It's
what, in our lifetime? Is it like?
Well, I don't know if it's my lifetime, but
it's not going to happen anytime real soon because it's just I feel like the whole system is bad. Yes. That's the hard part about that. I don't want to even get into the politics of it all. It's just
the easiest way to look at it is anybody that you'd actually want in that job doesn't want that job, and anybody that wants that job doesn't want it for the reason that they should want it.
Right. Yeah, I figure once Jake Paul loses to Mike Tyson, I figure that's his next endeavor. Jake Paul for president. Yeah,
sure.
Of
him and Kanye are going to run together.
Could you imagine Kanye West as president?
I've seen the movie Idiocracy already.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, man. Holy cow! Oh, that would be.
What was the president's name in Idiocracy? And what was the president's name in Idiocracy?
Camacho. It was Camacho.
No. Burrito Supreme.
The president?
The president.
The president
Burrito Supreme
was named Burrito Supreme.
Hey, since we're talking about sports, I don't know what y'all's favorite one is, but I absolutely love Eastbound and Down. I could watch that thing several times. I mean, if you're not a Kenny Powers and a Stevie fan, I mean, holy cow, man.
I've never
I
seen
can
it.
watch that. You never seen it?
Nope.
It is a funny show. It is a funny show.
You got to watch it, but you will be laughing so hard, man.
I've only seen a few episodes of it, but
it's so arrogant and so good. I mean, Kenny Powers is exactly Caleb Williams.
So what's funny is there was a clip floating around. I think it was on Instagram that had him talking, and then it cut over to Mahomes saying almost the exact same thing. It was hilarious, and it wasn't because he was trying to channel that. It just happened that way, but it was hilarious.
Oh, by the way, Will Ferrell does excellent work in that series, Eastbound and Down. Will Ferrell is great. He's Ashley Schaefer BMW. Oh my god, it's hilarious. I don't want to give too much away. Just go watch it. It's good stuff.
All right, I gotta jump off, guys.
All right, Bo's got to take off. He's got an interview to go do. So good luck with your interview. We're gonna hang out here for just a few more minutes. So we'll see you guys. Bo will be on to running the show tomorrow, where I am going to be sailing. So everybody,
I'll see you guys on Monday.
Very good.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, be good, brother.
So you go and you go get this done. How long is the procedure going to take tomorrow?
Man, I think it's going to be about 2 to 3 hours, to be honest with you. I mean, that's what I'm guessing. I guess I'll find out more tomorrow, but
will it be an overnight stay?
So it depends. If I could get up and walk, I think the lady said like 3 or 4 steps, they'll let me go home. If I can't walk like 3 or 4 steps and put a little bit of weight on it, then I'll have to stay overnight. And Jay does not like staying overnight in hospitals at all, because I like to have my prime rib. I like to watch my sports, watch what I want to watch, and the room they're gonna put me in probably will have a TV, so maybe I'll get to be able to watch sports, but. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of hospitals. I'm not, Pags. I hate hospitals, man.
I can't imagine why. Hospitals are such nice places.
They are.
It's like I mean, I'm not a fan of hospitals either. And I don't. Luckily for me, I don't get hurt enough to have to go to hospitals very often. So,
hey, that's good. Take care of that lower back of yours, so you don't have to go there.
Yeah, it's actually it's finally, the pain is minimal enough now where it's like I'm not even feeling it. So it took 10 days.
Are you stretching a lot out there?
I do. I mean, it's like I'm always like, especially when I'm lying down, I always am trying to stretch my legs out, because that's where it hurts the most, when I'm lying down. As funny as that sounds, like when I'm sitting up.
I know that pain. I know that pain, and it does, especially when you got to like switch sides. Like if you're laying down and you want to roll left or you want to roll right, that's when that pain really hurts.
Right. So it's I've been all right with that. So it's just like,
Well, did you wind up getting a foam roller to roll on?
No,
those do help.
I didn't get the foam roller. I didn't get the peanut or anything like that.
I don't know about the magic peanut, but definitely the foam roller. I would definitely, if you get a chance, go buy your little foam roller. Even after your back gets better, it'll keep your lower back, in good spirits.
And what is the foam roller? It's just a bigger noodle, pool noodle.
Yeah, it's they come about. I mean, you can't see it, but it is about 2 feet long. Just enough where you got a little bit on each side of the back coming out on each side, and it's kind of a tougher material, right? So it's not squishy. It's kind of a little firmer material. You can get it like Target, Walmart. You can get it online too, and you just put it on your lower back and you just roll. You just roll it over your back, and it works out your muscles. It works out all your sciaticas and stuff. Keeps all that stuff spread out. And you don't have to do it all the time, but if you just do it like once in the morning, I think you'll see a difference.
All right, well, there you go.
That's what they gave me in rehab.
Work on that once I get back, because I'm not buying it here and carrying it with me everywhere.
Oh no, I wouldn't.
I don't have any space in my suitcases.
Make sure you get that life preserver on tomorrow.
I'll be fine.
I feel like
I'll probably have it on anyways, because like I said, we're sailing, so. And I have never been sailing before, and I can imagine as I try to, do something with the sail, knocking myself in or doing whatever. So that wouldn't be surprising
for some
to me.
reason, I just feel like, Pags, tomorrow I'm going to see an Amber Alert that says local sports celebrity and guy to be named later were found floating in the water after mysterious sailboat incident. And I don't want to see that, Pags.
I don't think you'll see that. I think you'll be fine. And plus, you would not see it in your area. You wouldn't be in Texas.
Well, not on
I'm
the
more
Amber Alert
concerned.
side.
I'm more concerned. Guy goes in for knee replacement and gets a vasectomy
Me
again.
too. Again. For the second time. I will tell you this. I remember Pags. I don't know if you remember this, but and I don't even know if they do it now. They may or may not do it. But years ago, when I was about 16, this is about 1990, I had to go into the hospital to have leg surgery. And I'm sitting there in bed, and this young lady comes in, and she's got this candy stripe looking. And I will tell you, those were the most beautiful looking females I've ever seen. And I was like, you know what? Now that is a reason to stay in a hospital. But
the
I don't know.
nurses.
Apparently they don't like it when you say, "Hey, cutie, can I get your number?" They don't like it when you ask for a phone.
Hello, nurse.
Hello.
Yeah, I can imagine that be a little creepy. Yeah, when you're like, "Hey, baby, can I get your number?"
I did. She give me a scrub bath, and she says no. Helga will be in later. And Helga's like a 70-year-old lady with like big biceps. Hey, turn over. Oh my God, you sound like a man. Oh, I'm not. That's just my.
Yeah, that's just from 60 years of smoking.
That's my COPD. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. He's living the scene of Naughty Nurses. That's it. That's exactly correct. He's daydreaming right now on what it could be like.
Robert, that actually made me laugh, man. Hey, you know what? Naughty Nurses. I mean, that is like, isn't that like the number one fantasy thing for all husbands or boyfriends or whatever is, your woman in a nurse's outfit and stuff. I mean,
I don't know. I guess if you're role playing that way, that's then you'd be into it.
we
It's
should
like
do that one that we don't have no sports to talk about. We just do like the number one, naughty things for couples.
This is I on that note, look at the time. We're at the top of the hour. So, listen, Jay. Good luck tomorrow. Hope everything goes well, and that you're back here on Monday, not in so much pain. There you go. The Princess Leia outfit is. See, and I go with the naughty teacher or schoolgirl outfits. I guess is also the up there. I got to
That's
imagine.
probably like the top 5: the naughty schoolgirl, teacher, nurse. Those are probably your top 3.
So, but yeah, somewhere around there. I guess if you're going to play act, you got to have a wig on. So I don't want to, if we're going to play act, I can't be looking at the same girl that I sleep with all the time. You got to look a little different. So change the hair. Only on this show do you get that type of
only here,
stuff
man. I don't know where else
on,
you're going to get this content. Only here.
But anyways, Jay, I wish you the best for tomorrow.
Right,
hopefully you get up and moving around so that you could get your prime rib and get back here on Monday, not in a lot of pain. So hopefully they give you some good drugs.
And hey, remember, you make sure you tie down those jibs real good so you get that cell going the right way.
I'm a Navy guy, so if you can't tie a knot, tie it a lot.
A lot.
But anyways, hey, listen. Hopefully, maybe I'll get to call in tomorrow. It should be fun. Hopefully I'll be able to hey, yes, I do have a little bit of service, and here it is on the boat. Of course, before I drop my phone into the water.
No, ooh, don't do that.
Yeah, that would suck. Because then I would literally go dive after it. But anyways, guys, thank you all for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, or at least Bo. Jay won't be, so Bo's going to have a couple of new people on tomorrow just because we're all on vacation and, having surgery and stuff. But we'll be back on Monday, so you can stay, come join us then. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Take care.